Hey, what's up guys? I'm just gonna go over a quick warlock build that I built yesterday. Nothing too crazy, just a bunch of threadling spawns, stuff like that. I know this season has been focused a lot on radiance, strand, stasis, so today we're just gonna go over that. Let's start with mods since I'm already on this screen. Preferably have all your unlocks because one of the mods you actually do need from the artifact is this. Damaging unraveled targets with the weapon spawns a threadling. Another one also, picking up an orb grants you unraveling rounds, which also goes into this. Really, you don't need this, but I mean, if you're playing a solar warlock, it might be viable, obviously just for increased weapon damage, but not necessarily needed. Alright, for the subclass itself, obviously you're going to need Threadling Grenade. For aspects, you can either do Weaver's Call, Weave Walk, but I went with Weaver's Call here just because of rift casting and it gives you 3 Threadling right away. The other one here is Mindspun Invocation, so when you consume your Threadling you already gain that 5 stacks of Threadlings that are perched. Then for fragments we have Thread of Finality. Finishers give you Threadling. Strand Final Weapon Blows, which also coincides with the artifact perk on the last column. Thread of Evolution. Threadlings have the farther travel distance and have increased damage. And then for the last fragment we have Thread of Continuity, so whenever you're spend, unravel, sever. But I mean, for this build obviously you're going to have unravel and then sever. When you're damaging, obviously it's going to cut their outgoing damage, and then whenever they are defeated it'll spawn a tangle, so you're constantly going to have tangles, threadlings, stuff like that. Also a needed thing for this is the leg armor exotic swarmers. Threadlings spawn from tangles and unraveled targets. I mean, realistically, all I really did here was just go off of building ability cooldowns as quick as possible. So, picking up an Orb of Power, all abilities cool down. Same here, class ability. You can interchange any of these. Realistically, melee, grenade, class ability, or just absolution for all 3. Head armor, just went with obviously kinetic or strand siphon here. Down here, down on arms, gauntlets, whatever. Grenade kickstart, definitely. Also bolstering detonation, so whenever you're causing damage with said grenade. And then armor charge, obviously you get armor charge from picking up Orb of Power. Chest, nothing really specific, honestly, like charged up, but not necessary. And then for bond, just time dilation for your armor charge, and then or reduce melee cooldown while using your class ability. Bomber reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. For weapons, honestly, it has to be anything with strand. Also, a plus would be something that has hatchling, because hatchling is precision final blows or rapidly defeating targets with a non-precision weapon spawns a threadling at the location. So now, obviously, with all we just went through, you are constantly going to be spawning tangles, threadlings. You're going to have somewhat decent uptime on all your abilities to come back. I did test this on my off time, after building it yesterday, because of the fact that all the enemies have swords. And, obviously with other activities, swords, skulls, like grandmasters, stuff like that, enemies are going to be harder. So obviously, Neomuna being the new location, it's going to make enemies a little more difficult than they would in a normal area. So I'm just going to go to a random area, just show you how this build works, and we'll go from there.
Watch out, Guardian! Legion's not too happy you digged up their favorite point.
Also, another reason that I throw threadlings, or not threadlings, tangles on the ground is because they spawn threadlings. So, whenever something around you is not spawned or anything like that, they're just gonna perch on you. So they're always gonna be there right on you. The 2 stacks of threadlings right now. As you can see, I ate my grenade, so now we have the maximum stacks of threadlings. Now, when you pop your rift, it'll spawn the additional 3 on cast. As you can see on screen, 8 threadlings spawned right away, right on rift cast. And then whatever obviously didn't make it back because of our max stacks of being only 5 came back. Honestly, with this build, it's just grabbing tangles, shooting with strand, and if you sever an enemy, kill said enemy. They spawn a tangle, spawn a threadling, good to go. There isn't really much to do, honestly. Shoot my grenade here, here's a group. Group demolished. Even more. Yellow bars getting destroyed. And just more and more threadlings. And having unraveling rounds does help tremendously here. Look at that. I'm not really doing much, honestly. There's 2 threadlings. Obviously, just by more and more enemies spawning in, just like this. All the unravel rounds get them, and kills have obviously just transferred into tangles, and the threadling themselves, and it just constantly does this. Honestly, I don't really get into build crafting, so seeing something like this, just barely having to even shoot my weapons. Look at all those little sever and unraveling rounds connecting everywhere. Definitely a ad clearing build. No means is it supposed to be something super strong or anything like that. I mean, it's just to have fun. My grenade here. More cast. 8 threadling. Clearing. As soon as that group spawned in, they got instantly melted. Honestly, I mean, you could do what you want with the build. I just gave, you know, just a good baseline. I don't really expect anything from this, honestly. You know, just something fun to play around with. If, you know, the meta builds aren't your thing and you just want to have fun. Yeah, honestly, if you want to make it better, that's on you. I mean, this is what I came up with. I'm sure there's some little tweaks with mods and stuff like that on armor that you could change. And, you know, obviously running solar subclass would help with the radiant damage for, you know, strand weapons with the artifact perk. But that's on debuffs. Don't forget that. But preferably just stay on strand just because of abilities and uptime and how many threadlings you can have and spawn on yourself.